Hi, it's Maija here with my August reads and receipts, and my TBR count at the start of the month was 70 books. I had Worldcon and a move to a temporary apartment to escape renovation in August, so that took away from my reading time, but let's get on to the reads. The first thing that I finished in August was Descender Volume 6 by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen, and this is the final volume in the Descender science fiction comic series, and I already talked about the series as a whole in my July reads and receipts, so I'm not gonna go through it now. Then the second thing that I finished in August was also a library comic, and that was Hawkeye, Kate Bishop Volume 2, Masks, by Kelly Thompson and Leonardo Romero. So this is a superhero comic, and in this one Hawkeye gets a lead on this case that brought her to LA in the first place. This volume mostly focuses on Madame Mask as the villain. These are fun reads that I really don't have a lot to say about when I finish them. So far there's just been this brief entertainment that I don't really think about when I'm done, but Kate and her friends are fun characters, so I gave this one 3 stars. Then I finished a Hugo novelette nominee, 9 Last Days on Planet Earth by Daryl Gregory. So this is an ebook that I got in my Hugo Voters packet this year. So in this one, alien seeds rain to Earth, bringing in invasive plants, and this slow apocalypse sort of blooms, and it's a story told through the lifetime of one man. It is a good story, but it failed to grab me, and because of that it took me a long while to read. I can see how other people would love this. It has science and alien plants and this story spanning a lifetime. I think I lost focus of the story and its themes because I was reading it in short bursts over a long period of time, and maybe that is why I didn't connect with it, but I gave it 2 stars. Next, during Worldcon actually, I finished another Hugo nominee for the novelette category, which was The Only Harmless Great Thing by Brooke Bolander, and this is an ebook that I also got in the Hugo Voters packet. This is a novelette that mixes together these real-life events of the Radium Girls, who were these female factory workers who were slowly dying of radiation poisoning, and Topsy the elephant, who was electrocuted at Coney Island. It also has a future storyline and this sort of elephant mythology storyline. I really like the voice of the memory of elephant kind and the mythical story of the mammoth foremother, but I just couldn't get into the narrative voice of the human chapters, and that is why I gave this 2 stars. Then I finished another library comic, and that one was Nightlights by Lorena Alvarez, and this is a middle grade comic, and in this one there's Sandy, who likes to draw and sort of has trouble focusing in class, and there's this new mysterious student who comes into her school and shows interest in her art. And it has these nice middle grade horror tones, and the art is very beautiful. Sandy has a very colorful imagination. Saying that, I would have liked to have a bit more story, and I gave this one 3 stars with the art bringing the rating up. This one was really great to look at. Then I finished another owned ebook, and this is Minor Mage by T. Kingfisher. This was a novella that I got for free from her Patreon this month. This is a story of 12-year-old Oliver, who is a very minor mage. He only knows 3 spells and has an armadillo as a familiar. In the story he sets out on a quest to bring rain because of this long-time drought that is plaguing his village. This one was fun, and even though it's a middle grade or really early young adult book, it didn't stray away from darker elements like cruel or incompetent adults. I really like the armadillo. I do tend to like T. Kingfisher's animal sidekicks, and I like the bit gruesome ability that the boy that Oliver meets on his journeys has, but I didn't really get sucked into the story. Vernon's writing style is always a pleasure to read. I'll just love her writing style, even though I do prefer her adult works, and I gave this one 3 stars. It was a fun, quick read. Then I finished an owned physical book, which I can't find because it's packed away somewhere for renovation, so I can't show it to you, but it was Patricia A. McKillip's The Cygnet and the Firebird. This is the second book in the Cygnet duology, this sort of lyrical fantasy duology. This is set in the same world as The Sorceress and the Cygnet, the first book, but the main characters have been shifted around a bit. So Nyx, who is the titular sorceress from the first book, is now a main character. She is a sorceress and an heir to Raw Holding. And then there is Mage, who is Nyx's cousin and the sort of warrior bodyguard of the family. In this one, this mysterious cursed Firebird turns into a man at moonrise, and a wizard from a faraway land who is searching for an object, a magical object in Raw Holding, appear within days of each other. And this really sets the story going. Nyx and Mage get caught in this mystery of this faraway land, and most of these stories spend in this faraway land, and they are faced with the threat of dragons, or at least humans who want to use dragons. I've given both of these books 4 stars, but this one was my favorite of the 2. Both had the beautiful writing style down, but I was more interested in the main characters of this one. Even though I really did like the god aspect of the first one, this sort of mythology aspect, I really enjoyed following Nyx especially. I really like her thirst for and her curiosity for magic and anything magical, and how she doesn't really stop to think sometimes before she acts. And most often Mage is the more measured person in her responses and actions. She has to protect royal holding, so I think that has something to do with it. They just have this sort of different mentality, and I enjoy both of them, but Nyx especially. I'm actually looking forward to rereading this sometime, because it took me so long to read it this time. I want to read it in a more concentrated manner. It took me almost 2 months to finish this. Not because I was not enjoying this, but because of all the real life stuff. But I gave the Cygnet and the Firebird 4 stars. And reading the Cygnet and the Firebird brings my TBR count to 69 books. Next I finished Intelligence, Artificial and Human, 8 science fiction tales by Japanese authors, edited by Hirotaka Osawa. And this is an owned physical book. Well, owned physical leaflet. But anyway, this is a bunch of stories translated from Japanese featuring artificial intelligence, and these were translated to be distributed at Worldcon, and this is where I hold this. So I hold this and I read it so it doesn't bring my TBR count up or down. My favorite story from this was Concession by Georgi Hayashi, and that one was about a chess master and an AI trained in chess who has learned a lot of stuff from humans that it has observed in its lab. And My 6 Months with Taku by Tadashi Ota was also pretty interesting. That was also about an AI that had been brought this time into a school environment to learn stuff from kids, from humans. And then I like this sort of light twist in expectations in Yusuke Miyauchi's Night Flight. So this was an interesting collection to read once. I gave it 3 stars. My TBR count is still 69 books. So those were my reads. Now let's move on to the receipts. Did I make progress in my A to Z TBR challenge? And yes, I did. I got I from Intelligence, Artificial and Human. For my TBR chart challenge, did I finish a book featured in a Untitled Chapter video? And no, I didn't, but I'm still going to draw a new challenge from my TARDIS just because I want to get through a couple of these still this year, a bit quicker. So I'm gonna have 2 challenges on go at once. So here we go into the TARDIS. Maybe this one? One word title. So I need to read a book with one word title, and I already know what that is. And that is the horror book Raw Blood by Catriona Ward that I just hauled at Worldcon. This is about family who has been cursed for generations. They always die young and they are confined to their lonely mansion. And there's also the curse of the bone white woman who visits in the night, leaving death in her wake. So this sounds like my kind of horror, this generational curse, some hauntings, and I really want to get into this. I read the first sentence of this in my Worldcon haul, and that one was really good, so I'm really looking forward to reading this. Now let's move on to the haul part. This month, like you already saw, I got mine on Mage by T. Kingfisher from her Patreon, and I already read this. As my August ebook, I bought Blood of Dragons by Robin Hobb. This is the 4th and final book in the Rainwild Chronicles. You might remember that I said that I will buy the 3rd book. I still haven't read the 2nd one, but this one was a Kindle Daily deal, so I got it for very cheap. So I will just buy the 3rd book another time. Then I also got an audiobook, which is a rare thing for me. I got Sawkill Girls by Claire Legrand, and this one I got from Audible because I had an Audible trial. Then when I finished my first listen for the Audible trial, I got a $5 gift card, and I was trying to find something that was very close to $5, so I wouldn't have to spend a lot. So I think I paid $1 for this. And this is a young adult horror book, and I am currently listening to it. I was listening to it while I was moving for the renovation, and I think I will listen to it again when I move back. So now we're moving on to the Worldcon haul. I have done a separate Worldcon haul video, which I will link, where I go through all the books in more detail and read the first sentence from them. So here I'm just gonna quickly show you the books and get the TBR counter going. So the books that I bought in Dublin or Worldcon are In a Glass Darkly by Sheridan Le Fanu, which is a collection of short horror stories. Cards of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno Garcia, which is a fantasy story set in the 1920s Mexico. Outer Darkness by John Layman and Afu Chan, Volume 1, Each Other's Throats, is a science fiction horror comic. Wild Fell by Michael Rowe is a horror book about a haunted estate. The Humanity of Monsters, edited by Michael Matheson, is a collection of horror short stories. The Forbidden Beasts of Eld by Patricia A. McKillip is a fantasy novel that I don't know anything about except that it's by McKillip, which also goes for my next book, which is In the Forest of Sarah by Patricia McKillip. Then I got The Tethered Mage by Melissa Caruso, and this one is the start of a high fantasy trilogy. There are mages and magic is strictly controlled, and mages are tethered to some other people. Then I got a book that I have already read, so it won't bring my TBR count up, and that is The Queen of the Damned by Anne Rice. I had a really battered copy with a horrible cover, so I found this one used and picked it up. This is the third book in the Vampire Chronicles. Then, as you saw, I picked up Raw Blood by Catriona Ward, and like you also saw, I picked up and already read Intelligence, Artificial and Human, so this doesn't bring my TBR count up. And the final book that I picked up was Turning Darkness into Light by Mary Brennan, which is a fantasy book set in the world of the memoirs of Lady Trent. The main character is Lady Trent's granddaughter. And we're at 79 books, which is only 2 less than my TBR count was at the start of the year. I started the Reads and Receipts project at 81 books and now we are at 79. So congratulations to me, let's move on. So now we're moving on to can I buy more books in September and can I buy more physical books is first, and no, because I raised my physical book buying policy to having to have read 3 and I only read 2 physical books that I owned in August, so no physical books for me in September. Then can I buy an ebook? And yes I can, because I read Minor Mage, I read an ebook. Even though I got it that month for free, I'm still going to pick up another ebook, and this time I am going to pick up that third book in the Rainbow Chronicles, so City of Dragons by Robin Hobb. I'm gonna buy it now with one click, and here it comes. Now I have the whole of Rainbow Chronicles as ebooks on my Kindle. I have read the first one, I can read the next 3. And finally, can I borrow a book from the library? If I read 1 physical book and 1 ebook, I can. And yes, I did, so I can borrow 1 book. And I think I'm going to unfreeze my hold of Her Body and Other Parties from my library's app. This is by Carmen Maria Machado, and it's a collection of short stories, sort of horror-toned ones. I had this from the library, but I had to return it, and I really want to read this. Okay, I'm unfreezing my hold now. There is 1 copy on the shelf, so I should get this book this week, I think. Alright, that is done, so we can move on to what library books I have left for September. First, there's the 2 that you have seen before. I have Agatha Christie's Death on the Nile and Kazuki Saguraba's A Small Charred Face. But then I have also a couple of new things. I have 2 comics from my most anticipated video, which I will link. I have Blackbird Volume 1 by Sam Humphries and Jen Bartel, and I have Die Volume 1 by Kieran Gillen and Stephanie Hans. I have already read this one. Then I also have Oksi by Mari Ahokoivu, which is a Finnish graphic novel. This one just won the Comic Finlandia Award, which is this big award in Finland, and it is about bears. I think Oksi is an old archaic word for bear. We have a lot of nicknames and words for bear in Finnish. I had never heard this particular one before, but this one is about bears and this one little spirit. And then on Overdrive, my hold on Yoon Hali's Hexarchet stories came in, so I also have this one. This short story set in his Machineries of Empire, 9 Fox Gambit world. And finally, the stats. In August, I read 8 things. I read 1020 pages. I read on average 33 pages a day and took 11 days on average to read a book. You can see I had a lot of other stuff going on. These are my lowest statistics page-wise for the whole year. And as you saw, my current physical TBR number is 79 books. But that is all from me for now. I will have to set onto my TBR with some sort of new vigor to get it down again. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one.